You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never coming back.
I'll put you in one of the movies. I need a crackhead for the new scary. I need a crack and a meth head all mixed together. You're perfect. I need someone that looks like a wet Muppet. That's what I need crack and meth together. I need creth together. I want someone to look like they'll sell your car, rob you, and suck your all at the same time. Soulja Boy.
For myself and Soulja Boy. He in the building, I got all this paperwork. I check out everything that's going on with him. Virally.
For years, the clips were public, the jokes were loud, and the rumors never fully disappeared, but no one connected them with intent. In 50 Cent's new documentary, the focus isn't shock or scandal, it's the system that kept questions buried while power stayed protected. By revisiting Sean Combs and Soulja Boy through patterns rather than accusations, the film asks a sharper question. If so much was visible for so long, why did it take this moment and this narrator for the truth to finally be examined?
We're losing.
Netflix releasing never-before-seen video of Sean Diddy Combs filmed just days before his arrest on charges of trafficking and racketeering in 2024. The footage is part of a 4-part docuseries, Sean Combs: The Reckoning, premiering Tuesday.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
$15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yeah, all right, well then, you know, F you, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and go out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit, and then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. What are you calling me for? You know what I'm saying? I'm not, get out of here. I know what kind of dude you is anyway. Me and you cool and everything, Kirk, but don't call me about no business with this stuff like that. And then what I found out is that he was making a deal, cutting a deal for himself as well as Tim. You understand? And I was trying to get a deal for all 3 of us. You understand? So that's how them industry cats go. You know, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it like this. So then he called me back again, and I told him, like, listen, man, don't you ever call my phone again, Kurt. You know what I'm saying? Because we had got into it about somebody calling him. He told me Groovy Lou called him and wanted to know why Gene's still doing this to Puff and everything like that. And I mentioned it on the Gene Deal show. You understand? I said something. Then he called me back like I was lying. And listen to me, Kurt. Don't call me about what these clowns and these niggas say right here, bro. I had nothing, and especially don't call me talking about what I gotta fix, when in fact, you know what you told me and you know what our conversation was. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing about why I'm not in the thing, the lady was talking greasy to me. She had no right to talk greasy to me. And then she told me that 50 didn't have the power to do anything, but they using his name to like push the whole documentary. And that's what it was about. So that's why you don't see a cameo other than the pictures they used of me on the film in the documentary. I got like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. You know, some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places and you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're gonna get. But the stories that they told in the documentary, bruh, come on. They could have went a whole lot deeper. They could have did a whole lot more. So I ain't in the documentary because that lady that was the director, I think, what's her name? Alex, you know, Alex State, you know her name, Mighty?
For years, the fragments existed in plain sight party references, provocative jokes dismissed as trolling, shifting timelines, and a culture trained to treat discomfort as entertainment. What did not exist was permission to connect those fragments without being attacked for asking. In 50 Cent's documentary, the story is not carried by one explosive moment. It is carried by repetition. How the same names return, how the same circles stay protected, and how the same rumors survive because no one with power had an incentive to clarify them. This is not an accusation. It is a map of how narratives are managed when the cost of curiosity is higher than the reward of truth. If the smoke was visible for years, why did it take 50 Cent to frame it as something the public was allowed to examine?
I mean, why would Diddy want to poison Jamie Foxx?
If you know that you have, well, just to give some insight to people watching, when you come under federal investigation, they send you a target letter. You know, you get informed that you're being investigated. So if you wanted to tie up loose ends and you were concerned that people that you knew could incriminate you, you may have interest in eliminating them. We've seen this all throughout history.
I mean, this sounds kind of mafioso stuff, but I sense that you're talking from a lot of experience here, that you genuinely believe this is a highly dangerous situation involving a highly dangerous man with very dangerous people acting on his behalf, potentially.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely speaking from experience. This is definitely a highly dangerous situation because this guy was the middleman. He was the party guy. He was the person who lined up the parties and festivities for a lot of guys a lot more wealthy and affluent than him.
Diddy built more than a brand. He built a system gatekeeping, introductions, opportunities, and a kind of influence that turns proximity into a prize. In such environments, access becomes currency. People trade silence for protection, loyalty for relevance, and presence for momentum.
So, you know, I'm a person who believes that the Epstein's list is very similar to Diddy's list. I'm a believer in that. And, you know, whenever it comes to protecting women and children, I'm gonna be fierce. Big ups to my sponsor, Stallion Gear, for putting up funds to help us go out and help people. You know, I wanna salute Michael Franzese because he's probably the only famous person who donated to our campaign for protecting women and children, going down to the orphanages and passing out toys and gifts. Because at the end of the day, us as men, we must learn to police ourselves in our own community, because if not, these type of activities will continue to run rampant. I know this situation is dangerous. I've had several attempts on my life throughout my career. And you know, where there's one dangerous guy, there's a group.
You referenced earlier, I have a history of heinous acts against people who behave like that. What did you mean by that?
Well, there's a lawsuit that I'm listed in where allegedly I quipped Combs about his sexual deviant activity, and I protected the plaintiff and pointed a firearm at Mr. Combs. That's what the paperwork says. They don't have their facts right, but, you know, I have a reputation for
50 Cent's documentary leans into a quiet reality power rarely needs to threaten openly when it can simply make refusal feel expensive and make questions look like disloyalty. The implication is social and moral before it is legal, because normalization is how systems protect themselves without leaving fingerprints. When the room itself is the reward, who is truly free to ask what the room costs?
Soulja Boy verdict.
Big verdict for us.
Yeah, were you? So this is
our case.
Yeah, man. So for those that don't know, give us a backstory. So Soulja Boy, and for one, this is already like a $4 million case. But give us the backstory on the sexual assault and everything.
So Soulja Boy beat and sexually assaulted 2 different women. We represent both of them. The cases were consolidated, but at the 11th hour, they filed a motion to sever, which means to separate the cases. So the first case went to trial, and the jury returned a $4.25 million
And this
verdict.
is an assistant?
This was an assistant that became a girlfriend.
Right.
And the other victim is the mother of his child. So...
Just the DA, how could they not pick up a case that seemed like it's like severe enough that we can go and see this on criminally, there's nothing happening, but you can go and see the civil lawsuit, you know?
I'm gonna tell you why, Big, because when it comes to these types of relationships, whether it's physical or sexual assault, oftentimes people think, well, why did the person stay?
Right.
You know?
We blame the victim.
Yeah, you blame the victim, man. And then, you know, why are they raising the allegations now? Let's not forget, no one believed Cassie Ventura until we all saw that video.
Right.
They thought, listen, this is an ex. She's just trying to shake down a rich and famous celebrity. You know, she was with him for a decade. You know, our victim was with Soulja.
Soulja Boy arrived as an early symbol of internet-era fame, fast visibility, unstable leverage, and a public image that could be amplified or discarded depending on who benefited. The documentary frames him not as a simple target in a feud, but as a case study in what happens when a volatile star moves near older, steadier power. This does not prove wrongdoing. It explains risk, because when relevance becomes a survival game, people become easier to steer, easier to isolate, and easier to recast as either clout-chasing or problematic whenever scrutiny gets too close. If someone can be declared hot or irrelevant overnight, how much control do they truly have over the story told about their private proximity?
Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
You're a public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
Got in the
car and said, I feel like I need to wash, like I'm dirt. It shows you his character.
Was that the reason for including it?
Yeah, I mean, what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like that's one of the moments where he forgot he was on tape.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me, type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, you know, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160 saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because She came in as she's like 18, like 19 years old in the very beginning. After a while, over time, you condition for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as...
The documentary spotlights a recurring cultural pattern. Public mockery often grows loudest where private vulnerability is least safe to discuss. Jokes become weapons, cheap, viral, and reversible only for the people who never carried real risk. When sensitive allegations are reduced to insults, the audience stops seeking truth and starts choosing teams, and that shift quietly protects the system. 50 Cent is not portrayed as a moral authority. He is portrayed as someone who understands attention and understands how the industry uses distraction to keep deeper questions from forming. When the language becomes mockery, what happens to the people who would speak carefully if careful speech is the first thing the culture refuses to reward?